أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي رب زدني علما رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم الخير ثم أما بعد الحمد لله to you all السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Just as we said after Salah, we begin our dars today with dua that Allah Azza wa Jal gives peace and justice to the Muslims around the world, especially our beloved and our dear respected brothers and sisters and children of Palestine, of Yemen, of Sham, all the different places that are in turmoil, Sudan. There's a lot of people suffering also in Congo, and of recent we're seeing, it's fine, Bangladesh as well now. So we ask Allah to give humanity and give people and give the Ummah and give Muslims peace and justice and fairness and tranquility and harmony around the world. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Allah's rahmah and Allah's power is fully capable of providing peace and justice for everybody, while the shayateen and their armies and their followers try to cause fasad around the world. May Allah give us peace and justice. Ameen. Today, inshallah, we are going to try to whiz through a few chapters of hadith, and some of them, the hadith meaning is somewhat repeated with some emphasis on certain elements. In last week's class, we'd spoken about, the prohibition of having pictures and etc. in the house, and animals and dogs in the house. So today, in our chapter and the chapters to come, there will be a bit of emphasis on, or clarity on, what kind of dogs are permitted and what kind of dogs are not, because there is a difference. Okay, Allah said in the Quran, Surah Al-Ma'idah, when Allah says, يسألونك ماذا يسألونك when is حرمت عليكم الميتة, what's the ayah after that? يسألونك ماذا أحل لهم قل أحل لكم الطيبات وما علمتم من الجوارح مكلبين تعلمونهن مما علمكم الله فكلوا مما أمسكنا عليكم واذكروا اسم الله عليه واتقوا الله إن الله سريع الحساب. This ayah is telling us that we are permitted to have hunting dogs to catch land game. So مكلبين تعلمونهن مما علمكم الله, trained dogs which are used. فَكُلُوا مِمَّا أَمْسَكْنَا عَلَيْكُمْ. So you're allowed to consume from the halal animal which the hunting dog may go and capture, and there's a particular fiqh around that. But the point is, dogs which are for protection, dogs which are for hunting, dogs which are for farming, dogs which are for guarding, for guiding now as well, dogs which have a purpose are not in the chapter or not under the ruling of being haram. Dogs which are for malahi, for leisure, for pet, and etc., those are not permissible, and those are prohibited, and they are the ones that deter and hinder the entrance of the malaika and the angels of rahmah from attending the homes. So here in the chapter number 306, prohibition of keeping a dog except for game or protection of cattle and cultivation. باب تحريم اتخاذ الكلب إلا لصيد أو ماشية أو زرع. 1688, the hadith says, عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول من اقتنى كلبا إلا كلب صيد أو ماشية فإنه ينقص من أجره كل يوم قيراطان. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar narrated that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he who keeps a dog other than the one for guarding, the fields and the herds and for hunting, will lose 2 qirats of their good deeds on a daily basis. 2 qirats is a significant, huge amount of your good deeds that you lose on a daily basis for having a pet dog. Now this has become quite common now in Muslim communities. Bangladeshis, they have Bengali boys walking around with big dogs. They feel like they're looking very strong. But to be honest, this is actually a sign of cowardice, because if you feel so powerful, so strong, then why do you need to have a dog to try and scare people? And a lot of the times they pretend like it's a fashion statement. Sometimes they have dogs to impress other people, friends, and to scare other gangs, and to impress females sometimes, and sometimes the females actually get impressed as well, crazy women. sometimes, not all of them, of course. But all of these different reasons that people have for having pet dogs are not allowed whatsoever, okay? It's not allowed, and every day that you are having them, you're losing massive amount of your good deeds and incurring sin. I've seen people walking, and a lot of the times, these boys that have dogs, okay, they don't even acquire proper trained dogs. They get illegal dogs, and they're not even trained properly, and they become a danger, because trained dogs have a way of knowing, when to follow commands, when to not harm, when to attack, and when to not. But a lot of these dogs, untrained, illegal dogs, so what happens? They go and attack people randomly. A'udhu billah. May Allah guide our shabab and our young people and us all. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من أمسك كلبا فإنه ينقص من عمله كل يوم قراطان إلا كلب حارث أو ماشية, which is a similar meaning to what we just said. Now, من اقتنى كلبا ليس بكلب صيد ولا ماشية ولا أرض فإنه ينقص من أجره قراطان كل يوم. 2 tons or 2 huge amounts of good deeds are being lost every single day. Next chapter may not be relevant, but we'll just give you an indication of the title. It says, undesirability of hanging bells around the necks of transport animals or taking a dog on a journey. You shouldn't have a dog in the first place, but some people, if you want to take them on a journey, then they shouldn't have dogs on a journey with you. And animals that, for example, having a cow, having a goat, having other cattle, but hanging a bell around their neck, this is not desirable. This is not good. I see why some people might want to tag their animals so they don't get lost, so they can track them. Of course, back in the day, they never had trackers. They'll have something called a goru rakhal, a man who will actually physically look after the cattle for them. But now you can, in a lot of the advanced farming, you can tag them, by their finger. So, but having a bell, this is not desired, because the hadith says so. Why that is? Because hadith also says, because al-jarasu mazamiru shaitan, because the ringing of the bell is from the music and the instruments of shaitan. So it attracts shaitan. We don't want to attract shaitan to our cattle, to our farms, and to our homes. So it's better not to have bells on our animals. I don't know who this is going to benefit, but it's in the section of this that we're covering now. Undesirability of riding a camel which eats refuse and its own filth. Some animals are not, they like to go and eat their own filth. And so here the hadith is saying that if there is an animal, even if it's a camel, we should not use that if it is one of those camels that like to eat his own filth, because it becomes najis and it spreads. Because camel itself is not najis, but if it's going to eat and spread its najis from its filth, from its excrement, then, and that's one of the reasons why pork is actually so filthy, because a lot of the time they eat their own filth and their own excrement. My son was telling me this the other day. I know that from before, but it reminded me again. But they did crazy, ajib wallah. They go on, and people, may Allah guide people. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. People eat it and they enjoy it. A'udhu billahi min dhalik. Prohibition of spitting in a mosque on order to remove if it is found. So masjid are supposed to be places of cleanliness and hygiene, and purity and freshness and fragrance and etc. It's supposed to be a place of calmness and finding inner peace. It's not supposed to be a place of coughing excessively, burping. Oh my goodness me. What is it with us Asian people that sometimes they think it's okay for them to burp in the masjid? And not even in the masjid. For some reason, burping in many of these, I don't know if it's in other Asian countries, but I know I'm Bangladesh, and a lot of the Bangladeshi people, they think burping is just, what's the big deal? I've done a burp. But burp like this, yeah, it's a sign of, but it stinks. But it's against etiquette, and it's against adab, and it's against etiquette of the masjid, because you are in an angelic environment, and the angelic environment should be fragrant, should be beautiful. So burping, coming in with stench, which we'll come to anyway, about the onions and the garlics. Or coming in with general stench. Summertime is coming now. In wintertime we have the problem with the socks. In summertime we have the problems with the armpits. So all of these problems we have to be careful about. Deodorants, £1.50, £2, you can use your shower yourself, and then please, just be a bit considerate. Okay? And I advise you, as someone that wears a thobe for all my life, if you are going to wear any form of clothing, please have a t-shirt underneath. Because at least it's a layer of protection, it gathers the sweat, and then you can just change that, and then you can put another one on, and then please, being hygienic, smelling fresh, smelling nice is from the descriptions and the attributes of a believer. And the Prophet ﷺ used to love good fragrance. He used to love good fragrance. So we should try to be as fragrant as possible, inshallah. He says, Al-busaqu fil masjid khati'atun wa kafaratuhu dafnuha. That, spitting in the masjid is a sin and it's expiation, that the spit should be buried. Of course, we're talking about in where the masjid was just earth. There was no carpet. Having carpets and having underlay is a new phenomenon. Historically, masjid were open, as a long time ago, they were open. Sahaba and the Prophet ﷺ used to pray on the ground. You know that, right? He used to pray on the ground. So if you ever need to pray on the ground, don't think, oh, it's too dirty for me to pray, my forehead's going to get a mark on it. It's okay. The Prophet ﷺ used to sometimes pray and he used to see mark of the soil and the moist from it on his forehead because of the sujood straight into the ground. Okay? Some of the people from the deviant sects have taken this overboard and have said that they have to only prostrate on a piece of land from Karbala, which is another excessive and it's a misguidance. It's not true. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Ju'ilat liya al-ardu masjidan wa tahura." The entirety of the earth has been made a masjid for me, and it's pure. Okay. From here, some of them say, well, the hadith is saying you have to make the earth the place to prostrate, so you have to get some of the earth itself and put an earth tablet on your. No, this is not required. It's not required as long as you do sujood and your foot and your 7 bones are touching the ground in sujood, what are the 7 bones of sujood? Does anyone know? The 7 bones of sujood: the toes, the knees, the hands, the forehead. Nose is not a bone because this is the soft part of the nose and not the bone. So as long as that's touching, inshallah, then the sujood is valid. عن عائشة رضي الله عنها أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم رأى في جدار القبلة مخاطا أو بزاقا أو نخامة فحكه. Aisha radiallahu anha wa ardaha narrated the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw spittle or a snot or a sputum sticking to the wall towards the Qibla and he scratched it off. So it should remain, make sure it's clean. Someone shouldn't leave the tissue. Alhamdulillah, we don't do that. We're quite civilized in that way. But in case someone did, if someone does drop their tissue there, you must ensure to pick it up and keep the masjid neat and tidy. عن أنس رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن هذه المساجد لا تصلح لشيء من هذا البول ولا القذر إنها لذكر الله تعالى وقراءة القرآن أو كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Anas رضي الله عنه وارضاه narrates the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, it is not proper to use the mosque for urinating, of course, or easing oneself. They are merely built for remembrance of Allah and the recitation of the Quran as He has ordered. Now, we understand the point. Of course, the masjid is supposed to be clean and pure. And one of the story when the man came and from the desert and he urinated and the Sahaba were trying to attack him, and the Prophet said, "No, leave him. He doesn't know." He instructed him very nicely, and then the Sahaba were asked to cleanse it off. Now, what I'm trying to highlight here is some people take this hadith to mean that the masjid can only be used for salah and tilawat al-Quran, and this is not true. Masjid has got a remit, it's quite vast. Certain things are not allowed, but the usage of the masjid is very diverse. So the masjid is a place of remembrance, is a place of salah, is a place of jumu'ah, is a place of tilawah, is a place of i'tikaf, is a place of durus, yes, place of mashwara too. The masjid of the Prophet ﷺ was his parliament. It was his parliament. It was literally, they should discuss politics, they should instruct where is the next expedition, who's going to lead it, where is the next army going to, which country they're going to, or from the masjid. It was also a place of abode for the poor of the Muslims, like the Ashab Suffah. So the masjid is the center of the community and the heart of the community. I say this because there's a big issue. It's not really a big issue, but some people come to me and they ask, like nowadays we see a lot of young people, a lot of young youth organizations, they like to arrange Qiyamul Layl. And they like to have like wrestling and stuff. And youth activity, a bit of youth activities. Youth activities, not wrestling as in fighting, as in wrestling, friendly match. They like to have some, and it attracts a lot of young people. They do like tug of war, they do different things. They do some like kind of sporty activities in the masjid. So some of the elders in the community think this is haram. Because the masjid, as far as they are concerned, is only for salah and dhikr and tilawah and i'tikaf. This is not correct. Meaning, masjid can be used for these activities that the young people are doing, which is within the remits of Sharia. Of course, not disturbing anyone's salah. This is outside of salah hours during Qiyam al-Layl, which is organized and planned. This is very important because a lot of young people are hindered and say, no, you can't do this in the masjid because masjid is not for that. A lot of people have the assumption the masjid is only for salah. but that is of course the main purpose. But the masjid is very diverse place. Okay, very diverse place. It's the center of the community. Okay, so alhamdulillah for the ni'mah of Islam and for the ni'mah of the masajid. The undesirability of quarreling or raising voices in the masjid. This is of course not allowed. The search of missing articles or to settle a sale, purchase, wages and other matters therein. So the masjid is not a place of the marketplace. The masjid is many things, but it's not a marketplace. Because the Prophet ﷺ made it very clear that the best of the places are the masjid and the worst of the places are the marketplaces. So you can't mix them together. You might be thinking, well, many masjids have shops underneath. That's fine, because those shops are not inside the masjid. They're a part of the masjid complex and they're part of the waqf fund in order to try and recoup some of the expenditures of the masjid. This is jaiz, it's not a problem. We're talking about inside the main masjid prayer area. We are not allowed to quarrel therein. We're not allowed to fight or raise our voices therein. We're not allowed to announce, oh, I've lost something, can someone find it? I lost my car. Can you please help me find it? Not inside the masjid. You may use social media for that and other forms. Okay, you can't come and start going to the masjid, okay, you sell me this, buy me that. Sales are not allowed in the masjid. It's not a place of transaction. Okay? It's not a place of discussing, you know, like matters of monetary, wages, salary, purchase inside the masjid. You want to discuss in the office, that's fine. And imams' wages being discussed in the office is required. Not for me, I'm not saying it. But many cases where imams are very, very underpaid and it's not fair for them because they can't do the job properly. And they can't look after their family, honestly. You know, it's actually a sad reality. Most imams spend more time teaching other people's kids and don't have any time to teach their own kids. Isn't that tragic? Dad is Maulana, but the son has become, like they say, Alimur Guru Zalim. The Bengalis have a phrase that from the alim's house is a zalim. Well, maybe there's an actual reason for that. Maybe the alim was so underpaid, they had to keep on going and teaching places, teaching people. They never had no time to mentor and tutor and watch his children. And until today, despite being in the UK, we still haven't resolved this problem. It's around the world. It's literally, I've been to Egypt and I've seen how much the imams and the khatibs and the professors and the doctors are, it's peanuts. Whereas anyone that works any other job, a school teacher, a college professor, all of the other stuff, they get good money. Businessmen, of course, get good money. So this is unfair. So discussion of the wage, not in the main hall, but in the office, it should happen and it should be fair. And I'll make it clear, I don't know why I'm saying this, but it's a good thing to say. That's why I'm saying it. There are many imams, my brothers, my colleagues, okay, who I love and respect and I honor because they are in the field of serving the deen. They are the flag bearers of the religion in most places, in many places. Through them, people are praying the salah, coming into the deen, getting their nikahs done. You know, every key stage of your life as a Muslim is involved with the masjid and the imam, isn't it? So, in a lot of the cases, subhanAllah, not only are the imams unfairly paid below minimum wage, below living wage, they don't even have a contract in place. So the imams are used as pushovers. They don't know how many hours they're supposed to work. They don't know how many days of day off they're supposed to get. They don't get any sick pay. They don't have to get any paternity leave. No maternity, paternity leave. Nothing. So they are very, very unfairly treated. And I know individually, and I don't want to open my mouth about specifics, but I know individually masjids who have unfairly treated imams and dismissed them because they were merely asking for an employment contract. And guess what? Employment contract you need it in this country for many reasons, including housing, including, you know, benefits. If a person is entitled to benefits, they should take benefits. How is the guy supposed to survive? Renting a house in London costs you £2,000 minimum for a small flat. So if your salary is not enough, then he's entitled to claim benefits. So let him claim benefits. So if he needs, subhanAllah, I can go on. The rank can go on, but it's unfair. So brothers and masjid management and you know, anyone who can benefit, who can hear, who can. What are you messaging me? You give me proper some indications. Why are you shining your eyes? Oh, I think he's Muslim too. No, Muslim, wallah, so many. Alhamdulillah, like I am able to speak, so I am. Many imams will be scared to even talk about this. Okay? Because wallahi, I'm not saying it for me. I'm here, alhamdulillah, service of the deen, alhamdulillah, good, it's fine, I'm not worried. I'm saying it for those who literally depend upon the masjid's salary to survive, for their family, for their kids. It's not, well, you can't, honestly, you can't. And then because it's so limited, they have to do extra jobs. Like from the masjid, he has to go maktab. From the maktab, he has to go something else. From a weekend, he's up. The guy's out 7 days a week. So who's supposed to look after? Forget look after. Maybe it's okay, looking after is the woman's job, whatever, mom's going to do. But what about tarbiyah? What about tarbiyah? What about teaching? What about spending time with his wife? The guy is a human too, man. And she's also, the sister's also, the wife is also human. SubhanAllah, so many challenges that we must overcome. Okay? And I encourage all of us to become alert. If you are involved in masjid committee, community, wherever you are, please bear these things in mind. You know, like, okay, last part of the run, I promise. Last part, I promise. We all complain that young people don't come to the masjid, correct? Okay. Now tell me, why would the young people come, why would the young person come to the masjid? Why? What's the reason? Is there anything to draw them, attract them? The only thing that will make a significant difference is a good imam. Where there is a good imam, you'll find that young people are usually like they're coming in for duroos, coming, talking, chilling, they're feeling comfortable. MashaAllah, the demographics of this masjid is also is good, it's getting better. You could do better, we want to do better, inshallah. But there's a lot of young people that attend. Why? Because MashaAllah, this masjid decided to hire a 28-year-old imam in 2017. He's not 28 anymore. Who is he? Who is this man? Joking. So the point is, because of this, it changed. It had an impact. And guess what? When this decision was made, there was a lot of back and forth. Like a lot of people saying, "Yeah, Imam, Khatib, young kid, he's a young kid." Because we're used to having murabbi man, which is of course elders have the respect. But if you don't have the suitable, the approachable, the relatable, I'm hoping on these things. Approachable, relatable, speaks the language, understands the language. Then people will. Why should they come? Tell me why. Give me a reason why they should come. To be told off? To be looked down upon? To feel uncomfortable? They find Islam. Why should they come? They don't have a reason to come. So now tell me, from this, if the key reason for young people to come to the masjid, come to Islam, is having good, qualified, skilled, talented, approachable imams, then isn't that the area that we should be investing most in? Isn't that more important than bricks and mortar? Isn't that more important than the size of your masjid and the quality of your technology? Wallahi is. Wallahi is. And we're not even saying make the guy filthy rich so he can drive like a crazy whatever. We're saying simply so that he can look after his family and spend some time with them. Have fairness. Have fairness. And again, I'm not saying this for me. Wallahi. I'm saying it for my brothers, the A'immah, and they're struggling. And I know again and again this happens. So hope inshallah we can overcome these challenges and become a healthier community in this regard. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. So من سمع رجلا عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن أنه سمع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول من سمع رجلا ينشد ضالة في المسجد فليقل لا ردها الله عليك فإن المساجد لم تبنى لهذا. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if anyone hears a man inquiring in the masjid about something he has lost outside, or trying to make an announcement, I lost something outside, okay, then the answer to that person is, may Allah not return it to you. Serious, isn't it? That's a proper serious. No, I hope he doesn't come back. A'udhu billah. These, of course, especially for things that are outside the masjid. If something is inside the masjid and the masjid has a reception, you should do in a formal way. Ask the imam in a formal way. Not to make noise and shout out while people are praying salah, doing dhikr, reciting the Quran, etc. Do you see? You don't want to make it a marketplace like that. 1697 عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا رأيتم من يبيع أو يبتاع في المسجد فقولوا لا أربح الله تجارتك وإذا رأيتم من ينشد ضالة فقولوا لا ردها الله عليك. This is again a serious hadith. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when you see someone buying or selling something in the masjid, say to him, may Allah not make your bargain profitable. Allah, subhanAllah, serious matters. When you see someone announcing something lost in it, say, may Allah not return it back to you. This is serious matter. So, clear, it's not a place for this. And many more ahadith to that effect, which are saying similar reminders that are in this chapter, inshallah. Undesirability of entering a masjid, eating raw onion, garlic, or any other bad smelling articles without removing its bad effect. Of course, this includes smoking. And of course, this includes bad odor, like feet and BO and etc. It includes this. So it says, 1701 عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من أكل من هذه الشجرة يعني الثوم فلا يقربن مساجدنا. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar narrated the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم said, he who has eaten garlic should not come to a masjid, because the smell is bad and the odor is bad. You should cleanse yourself. The narration in Muslim says, he who has eaten garlic should not come to the masjid, i.e. until you have cleansed yourself and purified yourself and freshened yourself. This reminds me of a very funny story. When he was in Egypt, it became quite widely known that they don't brush their teeth. Some of them they do, most of them they do maybe, but a lot of people they don't. Okay? No, but it's the reality. A lot of people they don't, because it's not in their habit. Okay? So I know a brother who told one of his friends when he came to Egypt, be careful, because a lot of people they don't brush their teeth. That very same day they went to a fish restaurant. A fish restaurant. Egyptians have a very, very interesting culture that if you have fish, then you must brush your teeth. That fish is very serious. Fish, you have to brush your teeth. So on that same day, they went to a fish restaurant. And the same brother that was just told that they don't brush their teeth, they go to the bathroom and he sees the guy is brushing his teeth with soap. Hand wash, soap. They even give you a small soap to brush your teeth, because we said they don't brush their teeth. The guy is brushing his teeth right now with soap. So of course they brush their teeth. So the point is, I don't know why I went to this story, but the point is we should remain very conscious of our oral hygiene. Very important. Especially, ya shabab, for the married men and for the married women. Please be careful. I know once a imam, a man came to complain to the imam and said, my wife, she doesn't like to spend any time with me. She doesn't like me. What's the reason? Imam said, even I don't want to be with you right now, because your breath is smelling very bad. SubhanAllah, wallahi, oral hygiene, this stuff is very, very serious. It's because when you're living closely to people, of course it's very important. And that's the beauty of Islam. The Prophet ﷺ used miswak moments before he passed away. Miswak was his common habit. In wudu, in salah. He's brushing his teeth 5 times, more than 5 times a day with miswak. And miswak is one of those herbal organic toothbrushes that are being promoted even by health experts now. عن أنس رضي الله عنه قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من أكل من هذه الشجرة فلا يقربن ولا يصلين معنا. Similar meaning, whoever has, they shouldn't come to the masjid, they shouldn't pray with us, they should cleanse themselves first. وعن جابر قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من أكل ثوما أو ثوما أو بصلا فليعتزل مساجدنا. This one is saying, Sayyidina Jabir ibn Abdullah narrated the Prophet Muhammad said, the one who has eaten from this plant, i.e. garlic, should not approach us and should not pray along with us. Okay? And this is referring to the basal, the onions and the garlic. Another hadith says, it has been narrated that Umar radiallahu anhu said in the sermon of Jum'ah prayer, O you people, you eat garlic and onion. I think the odor of these to be very offensive. I saw that if the Prophet ﷺ happened to find a man with such offensive odor in the masjid, he would order him to be taken out of the masjid and sent to Al-Baqiyah. He who wants to eat any of these should cook them till their odor dies out. Odor dies out. So +1 for the Asian curries, because we literally burn them until nothing is left. Subhanallah. Okay, right, what's the time saying? We've got some more time. Undesirability of sitting with legs drawn up and the knees touching the abdomen during Jum'ah sermon, for it invites sleep, removes the concentration to hear the sermon, and creates the apprehension of breaking ablution, i.e. like this. During Jum'ah. which is a common practice, and many people, mashallah, have the best nap of their life like this. And I used to do that as a kid as well in Jummah as well. But it's not, it's undesirability. It's not good. Because it makes you tired, makes you lazy. Some people actually intentionally sleep at that time. You shouldn't be sleeping, you're supposed to be listening to khutbah. And the khatib should also try to make the khutbah very beneficial and interesting and relevant. And also, it increases the chance of sleep and losing your wudu as well. So be careful. You should sit in the, ideally, sit in the tashahhud position. 1705 عن معاذ بن أنس الجهني أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم نهى عن الحبوة في يوم الجمعة والإمام يخطب, which is that Mu'adh ibn Anas al-Juhani narrated that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade us from sitting with our legs drawn up to our belly during the Jum'ah sermon. A lot of people don't know this. So inshallah we should remind in a nice way. Prohibition of having hair or nail cut during the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah by the one intending to sacrifice. And recently you heard this hadith a lot, which is عن أم سلمة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من كان له ذبح يذبحه فإذا أهل هلال ذي الحجة فلا يأخذن من شعره ولا من أظفاره شيئا حتى يضحي. Salama narrated that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, when any one of you intends to sacrifice, meaning if you are actually sacrificing, so if you are not giving a sacrifice an udhiyah, this doesn't apply to you. If you are offering a sacrifice, okay, on the day of Eid, Yawm al-Nahr, in Dhul Hijjah, then when the days of Dhul Hijjah enter, he should not get his hair or cut his nails trimmed until the sacrifice has been completed on their behalf. This, according to Hanbalis and Shafi'is, I believe also, is considered to be from the wujub. Very, very important. You can't. It's wajib that you observe this. But according to the Hanafis, this is mustahab. Meaning, if you do abstain from cutting your nails and your hair in the first 10 days of the Hijjah while you are doing udhiyah, sacrificing an animal, then you will be rewarded. However, if someone did engage in trimming their nails or their hair, while they're also doing udhiyah, then they will be breaking a mustahab, which means they will be missing out on ajr, but not sinful per se. This is the Hanafi position on this matter. Okay, so the prohibition of taking an oath of any creature, okay, or any even prophet, any human beings, or the Kaaba, or anything besides Allah, angels, the sky, forefathers, life, soul, head, life of the ruler, favor of the ruler, grave of so and so. Like, you know, our Bengalis say, should I say, Kitar Khosom and Watar Khosom or Watar Khosom. And they say this, take an oath by the Imam and everything. And then I swear on this person's life, I swear on that person's life, everyone's life, I swear on my own life even. This is all prohibited in Islam. You can't take a prohibition of anything, so you can't take an oath by anything except for Allah. What is Wallahi or Billahi Tallahi? Some of our brothers say Wallahi Billahi Tallahi in one phrase. All three, and they probably lie afterwards as well. May Allah protect us. This is not allowed. So taking an oath by Allah and then lying is a severe crime. It's taking Allah's name lightly. This is not allowed at all. Okay? And there's a severe punishment for that. So if you are going to take an oath by something, and taking an oath is required sometimes, and it's acceptable in the Arabic language, because in Arabic there is a something called al-balagha. Balagha says there has 3 branches. And one of the things that you learn in balagha, very basic lessons, is that you address the speaker based on his state of listening, or her state of listening. So if you speak to someone who's not doubting you, then you say, there are protests in Greater Extreme, and you're neutral, so you believe me. But if I see you and you think you're kind of like questioning my honesty, you say, Wallahi, there are protests happening on Greater Extreme. And if I see that, you know, you are even more doubtful, you're denying, say, Wallahi, indeed, there are, right? So sometimes taking an oath is required and is acceptable in the Arabic language. Meaning taking an oath in and of itself is not haram. But it depends what you are using the oath for. Are you using the oath for a joke? Are you using the oath to lie? Are you using the oath to deceive people? Wallahi, this is a good product, but it's not. He knows that inside is flawed. So these are all sins. Furthermore, are you taking an oath by anything besides Allah? That's also sinful. taking an oath by the ruler, by this, by that, your sister's life, your mother's life, your own life. None of that is allowed. Allah Quran. Allah Quran, bro. So, the first part is fine, which is wallahi, but taking an oath by the Quran is not allowed, beloved brother. Okay? A lot of these kids, subhanAllah, they just don't know. So we need to encourage them and we need to teach them. I used to find out. Allah, subhanAllah. 1707 عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن الله تعالى ينهاكم أن تحلفوا بآبائكم فمن كان حالفا فليحلف بالله أو ليصمت. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar narrated, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah has prohibited you from taking an oath by your fathers. He who must take an oath, if you really want to take an oath, if you have to take an oath, then you may do so by taking an oath in the name of Allah, and taking an oath in the name of Allah sometimes to emphasis as well. Wallahi, victory will come for the people of Palestine. This is jaiz, because we have yaqeen and firmness of tawakkul in Allah. So for that, emphasis is also jaiz. 1708 عن ابن عمر عن عبد الله بن سمرة قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تحلفوا بالطواغي ولا بآبائكم. Abdul Rahman ibn Samura narrated, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, swear neither by the name of the taghut, i.e. the false deities, okay, false leaders and etc., nor by your fathers. Okay. عن بريدة أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم رضي الله عنه وأرضاه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من حلف بالأمانة فليس منا. He who swears by trust is not one of us. He swears and then he breaks trust, or he swears by the trust itself. No, trust swearing by only Allah Azza wa Jalla. By according to swearing and taking an oath only by Allah is that which is permitted. Except for Allah Himself, Allah can take an oath by whatever He likes. That's why Allah says, وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى, you know, وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ وَطُورِ سِينِينَ. He's taking an oath by the morning light, teen, the zaytun. Because Allah, He takes an oath by that which He seems to be important or value, or that which He likes, and is completely permitted. There are no limits and rules for Allah Azza wa Jal. And so He has that, of course. Allah has the full authority to do so. But us, we have to only swear by Allah's name if we have to swear, as in take an oath. عن بريدة قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من حلف فقال إني بريء من الإسلام فإن كان كاذبا فهو كما قال وإن كان صادقا فلن يرجع إلى الإسلام سالما. Buraidah narrated, the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم said, if anyone swears that in such and such a case he will be free from Islam, and afterwards he turns out to be a liar, he will be as he has sworn. But if he is speaking the truth, he will not revert safely to Islam. Which means sometimes we say that if someone swears that in such and such a case he will, if this happens, wallahi, I will not be a Muslim. Promise I'll give you the money back. And if I don't, then they complete that phrase, A'udhu Billah. What a dangerous thing to say. So these kind of oaths are of course not permitted whatsoever. عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما أنه سمع رجلا يقول لا والكعبة فقال ابن عمر لا تحلف بغير الله فإني سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول من حلف بغير الله فقد كفر أو أشرك. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar narrated, I heard a man saying no by the Kaaba. You can't say no by the Lord of the Kaaba, or by the Warabbil Kaaba, by the Lord of the Kaaba, okay? Because you're swearing by Allah still. But by the swearing on the Kaaba itself is not permitted. So he says, I admonished him. He said, do not swear by anything besides Allah, for I heard the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ saying, he who swears by anyone or anything other than Allah has indeed committed an act of kufr or shirk. So remind, وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ ذِكْرَى تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Prohibition of knowingly taking a false oath. This is one of the big sins in Islam. Okay? باب تغليظ اليمين الكاذبة عمدا. عن ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه وارضاه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من حلف على مال امرئ مسلم بغير حقه لقي الله وهو عليه غضبان. قال ثم قرأ علينا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مصداقه من كتاب الله تعالى إن الذين يشترون بعهد الله وإيمانهم ثمنا قليلا. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud narrated, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, he who takes an oath to acquire the property of a Muslim unjustly will meet Allah, and Allah will be angry with that person. And he then recited the ayah of the Quran, which is a testament and which is a proof for this. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَشْتَرُونَ بِعَهْدِ اللَّهِ وَإِيمَانِهِمْ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا. Verily those who purchase a small gain at the cost of Allah's covenant and their oaths for them is of course Allah's ghadab and Allah's punishment. So this is a very severe matter, and we find that this is a common practice. Some will say, Wallahi, this is my house. Wallahi, I lent you £5,000, and like that. A'udhu billah. To consume the property of someone else unjustly by using the name of Allah as a qasam, by deceiving people, by trying to manipulate people's iman. عن أبي أمامة إياس بن ثعلبة الحارثي رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: من اقتطع حق امرئ مسلم بيمينه فقد أوجب الله له النار وحرم عليه الجنة. فقال له رجل: وإن كان شيئا يسيرا يا رسول الله؟ قال: وإن كان قضيبا من أراك. Abu Umama Iyas ibn Tha'laba al-Harithi narrated that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, he who misappropriates the rights of a Muslim by taking a false oath, anything, you're taking an oath to make someone blameworthy, to defame someone, to steal from someone, to trick someone, to etc., to deceive someone, Allah will condemn him or her to the fire of hell and will forbid paradise for that person, because you are using Allah's name while cheating, while lying, while tricking someone else. This is vile crime. A person asked, O Prophet of Allah, even if it is something insignificant? He replied, yes, even if it is the twig of an Arab tree, even if it's a small amount. It's not the fact that, it's not about 1p or 2p or 1 pound. It's the fact that you had the audacity to swear by Allah while lying, while also harming someone else. So the layers of sins are so many, it's manifold. This hadith says, Abdullah ibn 1714, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As radiyallahu anhu narrated, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, of the major sins are associating anything in worship with Allah, disobedience to the parents, killing without justification, and taking a false oath. Meaning these are the major sins. أَلَا أُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِأَكْبَرِ الْكَبَائِرِ. Also kaba'ir, the kabira sins. The major sins are shirk, وعقوق الوالدين, disobeying to parents, disobedience to parents unjustly, without any justification, killing without justification, killing another person without justification, and taking a false oath intentionally. These are from the major sins. Another narration is, a Bedouin came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked, O Prophet of Allah, what are the cardinal sins, the major sins? He ﷺ repeated, associating anything with Allah in worship. The man asked, what is next? The Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Yameen Al-Ghamus. He asked, what do you mean Al-Yameen Al-Ghamus? The Prophet ﷺ said, swearing falsely to usurp the property of a Muslim. This is a major sin. Shall we carry on or shall we stop? Carry on? Let's go. Bismillah. One more chapter. Desirability of expiating the oath taken by a person who afterwards breaks it for a better alternative. If someone has taken an oath that I will never do this, but then afterwards realizes that it's better if I actually do this, then you're allowed to break that oath but give the kafara. For example, someone says, I will never go to my brother's house again. Wallahi. And he says, Wallahi. So he's taking an oath. So technically speaking, he can't go to his brother's house. But not going to your brother's house is breaking ties of kinship. So it's not allowed. And it's going to visit your friend, to your family, visiting your family is required, is rewarding. So what should he do? He should break his promise, as in break his oath, but get kafara of it. How does that work? Let's find out. It says, عن عبد الرحمن سمرة قال لي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وإذا حلفت على يمين فرأيت غيرها خيرا منها فأت الذي هو خير وكفر عن يمينك. Some guy got angry at his wife, said, Wallahi, I'm gonna divorce her tonight. أعوذ بالله من ذلك. He should say, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not actually going to divorce you. I don't want none of that. So I take that back. Because he hasn't divorced, he said, I will, I'm going to. But if you've done it in a different way, said, at 12 o'clock tonight you're divorced, then that's a separate issue. It can actually work like that. It's called talaq mu'allaq. which you're doing in the Islamic studies class. It's coming in the future, you'll come to it. But if wallahi, I'm gonna break this marriage, and then he says, no, I don't want to do that. I love my kids, I love my wife. Then he should break his oath, give kafara. Give kafara, expiation, and because breaking an oath for a decision which is better is desired, is encouraged. Okay, we shouldn't break our oath, but breaking an oath for something that is greater, something better for you in dunya and akhirah, then you should. Okay, so this is encouraging this in the sunnah. When you take an oath and consider something else to be better than it, make expiation for your oath and choose the better alternative. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من حلف على يمين فرأى غيرها خيرا منها فليكفر عن يمينه وليفعل الذي هو خير. Abu Hurairah رضي الله عنه narrated the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم said, when you swear an oath and consider something else to be better than it, make expiation for your oath and do the thing that is better, as we explained before. عن أبي موسى أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إني والله إن شاء الله لا أحلف على يمين ثم أرى خيرا منها إلا كفرت عن يميني وأتيت الذي هو خير. Abu Musa narrated the Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم said, verily I swear by Allah, if Allah wills, I shall not swear to do something, but if I consider something else to be better than it, then I shall make expiation for my oath and adopt the thing that which is better. Meaning he's saying, he's making an oath that if he makes an oath and finds that there is a better alternative, then he will break the oath, pay the kafara, and do the thing that is better for him. So this can be applicable for many, many things. If you see a decision is better for your dunya and your akhirah afterwards, you're allowed to break that promise, but do the kafara for it. Okay, especially what it entails, for example, salatul rahim, maintaining ties of kinship, birrul walidain. I'm not going to visit my mum. Silly oath, those kind of stuff. I'm very angry at my child. I will never kiss my child again. No. Break your oath and do that which is good and give kafara for it. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لأن يلج أحدكم في يمينه في أهله آثم له عند الله تعالى من أن يعطي كفارته التي فرض الله عليه. Abu Hurairah narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, persistence in respect to his oath about his family is more sinful with Allah than payment of his expiation prescribed by Allah. Meaning, someone thinks, oh, I'm so pious, I made an oath that I'm going to divorce my wife, so guess what, I have to do it now because I'm so pious. The hadith is saying, no, it's quite the opposite. When you make an oath with regards to your family, it's better that you break that oath, pay the kafara, and maintain your family. Because when you don't know this hadith, you don't have the knowledge, then you might think otherwise. So it's very important that we realize this, inshallah, and encourage this to others. Okay? Exemption from the atonement of breach of oaths uttered by way of habit. We know some people have a bad habit of taking oath all the time. Okay? So, if it is forgetfulness, negligence, bad habit, then the sin of it is not as severe as someone who intentionally swears by Allah to malign and to obstruct the way of law. Does that make sense? Someone says, Wallahi, just says it. They're wrong, they should stop, they're sinful. But it's not the same as someone who says, Wallahi, and then tries to take someone's haqq, or tries to break a family, or tries to do this crime, and that vice, try to cheat and deceive. Allah said in the Quran, قال الله تعالى لا يؤاخذكم الله باللغو في أيمانكم ولكن يؤاخذكم ما عقدتم الأيمان فكفارته إطعام 10 مساكين من أوسط ما تطعمون أهليكم أو كسوتهم أو تحرير رقبة فمن لم يجد فصيام 3 أيام ذلك كفارة أيمانكم إذا حلفتم واحفظوا أيمانكم. You know what the funny thing is, subhanallah? In the last chapter I was thinking, I forgot what the expiation is, kafara for oath. And I forgot the ayah, it's not coming, and subhanAllah, here it is right in front of us. Allah will not punish you for what is unintentional in your oath. You just came out, like unintentionally you said, Wallahi billahi tallah. You didn't mean it. Okay, Allah will not hold you to account severely for that. You should avoid that habit, you should try to rectify it, but it's not the same as someone who intentionally takes an oath to deceive people. But He will punish you for the deliberate oaths. Deliberate oaths. For its expiation of a deliberate oath. So what is the expiation? The kafara. Say for example you made an oath and you want to break it now because you saw a better decision. The expiation is that you feed 10 miskin people. Okay? إطعام عشرة مساكين, to feed 10 miskin people. It's about, say, £5 times 10 is what? £50. It's not much. So you should, if you see that your decision is poor and you made an oath for it, then you should give that this kafara and fulfill that which is good for you in this life and the akhirah. Okay, so he says, on a scale of average of that which you feed your own families, or clothe them, or to free a slave. But whomsoever cannot afford that, you can't afford to feed 10 people or to give them clothes. So feeding also is based upon your family standards. If you feed your family on average, say £5, I think it's reasonable for us, isn't it? £5 per head is quite reasonable for a meal. Yeah? But if someone, mashallah, is multi-millionaire, every time they're having salt bay for per meal, then they have to give based upon their ability. Based upon their ability or their norms of how much they feed. Because فَكَفَرْ إِطْعَامُ عَاشَرَةِ مَسَاكِينَ مِنْ أَوْسَطِ مَا تُطْعِمُونَ أَهْلِيكُم. Similar to what you'd feed your own children. You'd have to give. So £5 is generally the times 10, so it's about £50, which is the kafara. Or if you can't afford, then what should you do? Then you should fast for, you should clothe them, or you should free a slave, and whoever cannot do that should observe a fast for 3 days. If you don't have the money, your skin, then fast for 3 days. This is the expiation. That is the expiation for the oaths when you have sworn and protect your oaths. If you make an oath, then you should protect your oath, unless of course in those circumstances that we described. عن عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت أنزلت هذه الآية لا يؤاخذكم الله باللغو في أيمانكم في قول الرجل لا والله بلا والله. Aisha radiallahu anha wa ardaha narrated that the verse, Allah will not punish you, the ayah that we just said before, was revealed in respect of those persons who have a habit of repeating La wallahi, yes wallahi, la wallahi. You know, many Arabs say La wallahi, ay wallahi, bala wallahi, na'am wallahi. But la, see this kind of habitual oath taking, which is not good. But this is about that. In summary, there's a significant difference between the habitual oath and the intentional oath. To lie, especially, that's even a severe crime. And in summary of what we just said now, if you make an oath that you will abstain from something or do something, and then you decide afterwards and you see afterwards, in fact breaking that oath is better for my dunya and akhirah, then you're allowed to break that oath and pay the kafara, which is to feed 10 miskins. Okay? Or otherwise, if you can't afford it, to fast for 3 days. Barakallah fi, alhamdulillah. I think today is the largest number of hadith that we covered in a lesson, because we're going quite fast and there's a short hadith. Inshallah, we should carry on from 318th chapter in our coming lesson. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته.